Welcome to Argentina then for the finale of the FIA GT1 World Championship of 2011. I'm Ben Edwards, joined by Johnny Herbert at this magnificent circuit close to San Luis in pretty much central Argentina. We're 270 kilometers south of Mendoza, a good distance away from Buenos Aires, where of course you raced in Formula One in the 90s, Johnny. But this track really is quite something, isn't it?
It's absolutely amazing. It's the setting, you can see there in the background the mountains, the circuit around a lovely little lake in the middle. I haven't heard any bad words about it. Everybody thoroughly enjoys coming here.
Now, let's talk about what's been going on in the championship, because already we've had a major drama this weekend, which happened before we even got into qualifying, and that was the crash of the number 8 Aston Martin of Stefan Mucker and Darren Turner.
And sadly, it looks like the weekend is now over for you. Can you explain what happened yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, the cover's on the car and it won't be coming off this weekend. Yeah, Stefan had a bit of a moment at turn 21. It's a high-speed corner, like 4th, 5th gear. There's a big bump mid-corner, and he just sort of lost it over the bump. Looking at the data, that's what we think will happen. And unfortunately, the car slid into the wall absolutely square on. So the outside, the damage didn't look too bad. You know, a bit of T-cut, it would have rubbed out, and a bit of tank tape, but unfortunately it's pushed all the suspension in front and rear, which has done quite a lot of damage to the chassis, so it's not repairable while we're here in San Luis. So unfortunately that's the end of our weekend, and also it's the end of our sort of challenge for the championship. I mean, it was always going to be a long shot, 11 points behind with a lot of weight in the car, but there was a chance. And the only other thing is it stops us trying to help with the team, trying to win the team championship as well. So, yeah, very unfortunate. It's the end of our championship, but hopefully Car 7 can go out there and try and secure that team championship for them.
Thank you for talking to us.
Cheers.
So Darren Turner and Stefan Mucker won't be starting at all, but there, on pole position after a brilliant job in qualifying, are the championship leaders. And as they go away on the formation lap here, Michael Krum and Lucas Lohr can wrap up the title here today in this race by simply staying out of trouble and scoring a few points. That's really all they need to do. Now that we've lost the Darren Turner, Stefan Mucker car, if that car had been in the race, Krum and Lohr could not have won it in this first race of the weekend, no matter what Mucker and Turner had done. But because we know their car's not going to be out at all for the weekend, it makes this job much easier. Alongside them, Pastorelli and Berman, and we'll talk more about them in a moment. On the second row, Brabham and Campbell-Walter and Schwager in the Lamborghini. You've got the Hohenadel Piccini Aston alongside the Bernoldi Nissan next up on row 3. Row 4, Piccioni Dusseldorf Aston, and then the Muller-Enger car. Back on row 5, Westbrook's Nissan. He had a 5-place grid penalty, in fact, for another engine change, so that's why Westbrook is a little further down than where he qualified this morning. We're all set for the qualifying race here. The finale of the World Championship gets underway in Argentina, and as we wait for those lights to go out, Michael Krum in the Nissan's going to try and wrap up this title in the qualifying race, but the Corvette's going to fight him down towards the first corner. Very dusty offline as everybody charges down there, and Jelmer Berman goes around the outside. Oh, he's taken the lead from Michael Krum, who's being sensible and slots into second place, and the battle is going on behind.
Absolutely, I think that was a brilliant start, able to get in front there of that Nissan. And now he's just got to sort of learn more about this track, like I was saying. But you can see he's pulled a little tiny gap already. So it's going to be a very interesting battle. But again, Michael Krum, he just needs to follow it and do his own race.
Yeah, looking down at the other Corvette, that's further down the pack. We're looking pretty long way down the list there. That's the number 12 car fighting for position, Nico Verdonk. But up front, it is Jelmer Berman on his debut in GT1, who has got the lead over Michael Krum in second. The Nicky Pastorelli Lamborghini running third. Yeah, one of the Fords has taken a big hit. One of the Nissans, that's Dumbreck. Peter Dumbreck in big trouble. The front flips up on the number 40 car, and that is Bas Linder's car. That's bitterly disappointing. It's actually Riccardo Rosati in the car at the moment. Bas was due to take it over later on, and drama on this opening lap. Now, this might help Thomas Enger and Alex Muller in their Aston Martin. They only qualified back on the 4th row. Thomas is in the car at the moment and desperately trying to move up the order as we're on board with Michael Krum, who sensibly stayed out of that confrontation with the Corvette in the first corner. There is, unfortunately, though, Peter Dumbreck's car limping its way back towards the pits, and unfortunately the suspension damage on that's going to be too severe for them to continue, I would think. There's the number 4 Aston Martin, also one of the cars with an outside chance of the title, but again, that car's got to finish 1 or 2 to keep the championship battle alive. there, unfortunately. Riccardo Rosati has brought that Ford back into the pits. That car got damaged, as did Peter Dumbrecht's car, which you just saw coming into pit lane behind in the background there. So unfortunately for JRM, and that is crucial because JRM, who look after Peter Dumbrecht's Nissan as well as Michael Crumb's car, they're trying to win the team's championship. Now, what this does is it gives young driver Aston Martin a very, look at the crabbing.
Oh, that's
terrible damage on the, well, not terrible, but it's basically broken a toe link at the back, I would think. And they're simply not going to be able to get that car repaired to go back out in this race. So, very, very unfortunate there for JRM, and it does have a big bearing on the team's championship. As I say, young driver Aston Martin lead the team points coming into this race, and now it's 1 against 1 effectively, because you've still got the Krum Nissan in this race, but Enger and Muller's Aston is still also in there. Riding on board with Thomas Enger, who's in 9th place here. He's chasing down that Lamborghini. Christopher Haas, there's been contact there. That's the Mark Basseng has made contact with one of the other Lamborghinis, I think it was, and that's really disappointing for him. Oh, and he's got past the number 47 car. That's Christopher Haas, who has to take the shortcut there. So drama here with one of the championship contenders. Yeah, he's got back on, but he's lost ground because I think there may be damage on the Lamborghini, and Christopher Haas is now dropping back down the order after showing tremendous pace. We didn't quite see how that all began, but certainly enlivening things in that mixed group, which is battling over 6th and 7th places. And just take a look at this replay of the start here, Johnny, and talk us through it.
Yeah, where you see Berman there gets the right line, really. He's on the outside, but it's such a wide entry to that right-hander there. A bit further back, there's a bit of...
pretty good, actually.
It was very clean. It was a little bit later on that lap where we saw the contact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but no, a very clean first corner. I know last year there was a little bit of goings on.
There was.
Let's say. So that was a good clean one.
There were Aston Martins spinning everywhere last year. Thankfully this time it didn't occur. Aston came back despite various people getting in trouble last year with double win here for the Hexes team. But right now it's a Corvette that leads. Corvette yet to win a championship race so far this year. In fact, to win a qualifying race as well, although they had success in 2010. Well, let's wait and see what happens here, because you've still got the championship leaders, Michael Krum and Lucas Law, in a very strong second place. And Jelmer Berman, although he leads and is maintaining the gap at the moment, it's a long way to go, and he's going to be handing over to Francesco Pastorelli, who's also making his GT1 debut in the second half of this race. Piccini, that's Piccini in trouble. Yeah. Andrea Piccini, we saw the bit of damage to the back of his car, but it didn't seem to be affecting him earlier on. But Andrea Piccini has slowed right down, and that is all over now for any scant hopes that they had of still winning the championship, as Enger still under a bit of attack there from Mark Basseng. Change between the two Nissans. Yes, it is. Nicky Katzberg had to really get out of it. Whether he was trying to overtake the Lamborghini, maybe he was, and in doing so ran too deep or whatever, but it has allowed Jamie Campbell-Walter now to move up into 4th place.
I think this is a replay.
We'll take a look in a second. And a spin there for Christopher Nygaard in the number 9 Ford. So all going on. Whether there's any fluid down there, I don't know, but certainly a bit of action going on at the chicane there. And this lap has seen plenty going on, because Andrea Piccini has dropped back. Thomas Enger still in the race in the young driver Aston Martin, and he'll be desperate to try and move up, because then young driver can still keep their hopes alive in the team's championship. Now, this is the Piccini car. We saw him drop back, Johnny.
Puncture there, obviously. That's what it was. It was a puncture on the front. See the tyre there?
Right.
He runs over his own tyre.
So the tyre's peeled off the rim.
Yeah.
So that's why he suddenly slowed down. Jamie Campbell-Walter again trying to get past the Lamborghini. Now, this is where he needs the overlap. Can he get his nose alongside? Not quite there.
Not quite. Seems to be where he's sort of at best. It's very tricky on that latter part of the circuit to get anywhere. He gets close, but it's very hard to pass. That seems to be his best opportunity, but he's got to get the corner before that chicane there to throw himself up the inside. Lost a bit of time there, but that's just where he's fighting it. And we have another fight.
Yep, this is Mark Basseng fighting away with the other Hexis Aston Martin. I think that was or is it Thomas Enger? He's been battling with it's a Hexis car, isn't it? So that car must have made some progress, because Steph Dusseldorf, I think, must have gained a bit of ground on this last lap. Both come in together. So this is going to be the battle of the pit lane now. It's going to be Al Inkel. There's Dominic Schwager ready to take over from Pastorelli. And it's going to be Jamie Campbell-Walter to hand over to David Brabham.
Yeah, and I think we're very aware.
But Brabham's not quite ready. They're trying to get Brabham ready.
Yeah, but we know the Nissan they've been working very, very hard on their, I hope David's out, very hard on their pit stop. Now he's finally ready.
So maybe
That's a late call, I think.
yeah, maybe that caught them out a little bit.
Well, I'm basing this on their pit stops have been so good. They reckon this is a good opportunity for them to actually jump them in the pits, make it a lot easier. So this is going to be an important stop for these guys. And if that Nissan can get out in front, it just make their job a little bit or a lot easier.
Well, 10 seconds before he came in the pit lane, David Brabham didn't have his helmet on. Away goes the 37 car. That was a great stop. Oh, it's been a slow stop for the Sumo Power guys. Oh,
the nuts. The nuts.
Oh,
the nuts
can you believe it? Just when they needed a great stop, they were fighting so hard. It's all gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah,
well,
nuts crossed, obviously, and he can't get the damn thing off.
They would be hoping that it happens.
Oh, there we go.
I suppose to the Sumo car rather than the JRM car, but
disaster.
That's horrible because Jamie Campbell-Walter had fought so hard in that first section of the race, and now that's all gone away. Michael Krum coming in to hand over to Lucas Luhr. Now, they need just a calm stop here. They don't need the problem that we saw afflict the Sumo Power car.